Tourism is a rapidly growing industry. Tourism was growing rapidly before, but now, since there's a pandemic all around the world, tourists are prohibited to travel to different countries. The topic is about how and why tourism is a rapidly growing industry. To start off, when we said that tourism is a rapidly growing industry, it means that the rate of tourists traveling to different countries is increasing quickly. The top 5 countries with the highest number of international tourist arrivals in 2019 are France, Spain, United States, China, and Italy. The countries in the top 5 with the highest incomes from the international tourists are the United States, made $210 billion and $747 million yearly. Spain made $67 billion, $964 million yearly. France made $60 billion and $681 million yearly. Italy made $44 billion, $233 million yearly. And China made $32 billion and $610 million yearly. These ranking of income and the ranking of the most visited countries are in different ranking. This is because in the United States, there's lots of shopping centers as well as many entertainment stores. So when tourists visited the US, they spent money on the products from there. As for France, lots of tourists visited because France is a country filled with mesmerizing architects, famous brand clothing and cosmetics, and mouth-watering desserts. Although France have many amazing products, they can't compete with the US incomes. This is because the US is a huge country compared to France, meaning they have various selections for the tourists. Why is tourism growing rapidly? This is because the tourists visit lots of new places or places they really like. Most people have lots of saving money after they paid taxes, so those leftover money can be a great use for making themselves happy by traveling to different countries or places. Nowadays, technologies are more advanced, making traveling more easier than in the past. Roads are paved, airplanes are made, a wide variations of vehicles are made to suit with traveling, and the internet makes it easy for us to book a hotel for our holiday. In Laos, they have a border bridge that connects with Thailand, which allow people travel to Thailand quite often. There's also lots of holiday packages to choose, which is good for those who travels during seasonal holiday. Around July 2020, a hotel called Awani in Luang Prabang used to have a holiday packages for 2 people, which is cheaper than actual cost for 1 person. Most people who travels a lot usually have lots of free time, and those who in the age of retirement also travels a lot too. Celebrities also have a huge influence on tourists. People tend to follow trend or what their friends and family or celebrities recommended. These stuff increases not only the rate of the visitor, but also the incomes rate in many different countries. The impact of tourism. Mass tourism means when large numbers of visitors travel or go to one place. This have a huge impact on the countries that the tourists visited. Tourism helps spread varieties of cultures and heritage of different countries, which educate tourists about the country's cultural arts, crafts, and traditions. But this can also be ruined by tourists or outsiders too. They tend to violate the golden rules of do not touch or do not take picture. Some even cross the line by trespassing a prohibited places, which is very important to the people who live in that country. For example, trespassing into an ancient places like 100 years old castle, or sitting on the first king's throne, or climbing up on the stair of an ancient monument. Tourism provides varieties of jobs. This helps tourists who's looking for jobs in different countries or places to work at. But most jobs are limited and seasonal because some countries or places rely heavily on the tourists. This is a problem when there's not many tourists visit anymore. Most tourists like to travel to places that highlight mostly about nature. This causes environmental degradation, such as pollution and waste problem. Most people who's too lazy to throw away rubbishes into the rubbish bin usually throw it on the ground or into the river. There are many ways to solve these problems that was caused by the tourists. In order to prevent tourists from polluting, most countries and places charge those who polluted with high amount of charges. This tend to scare most tourists due to the huge amount of money. Placing a good amount of recycling bin in an area that have a huge number of tourists visiting, or an area where a large amount of tourists is at, and putting a huge sign to let the tourists know will help make the place cleaner than before. People should be educated to think before spreading the other country's culture. They should think, is it appropriate to recreate this culture's artworks in order to not upset those people's culture? Places that relies mainly on tourists should stop doing that and change to do something else, such as growing vegetables and fruits, creating traditional artworks and craft, then transport the goods to different cities, villages, or an area that have lots of people live there in order to earn money. In conclusions, the rapid growth of tourism is the rate of tourists traveling to one or different places. Tourism have a huge impact on the places that the tourists visited, such as negative and positive impacts. In order to prevent or minimize the factors that tourism can make, we need to think before we do something, as well as warn or educate the tourists about what is right and what is wrong. This way, there won't be a huge commotions or riots happening all around the world. This is called being respectful of the country's important properties.